I feel like Scotcherooing it today. The Crusader Cup, which is the chocolate, butterscotch and caramel, definitely one of my favorite ones to come out of Bones Coffee. One of my top 5. I would say this is top 5. They have a pistachio one that was amazing. They have the Terry's chocolate orange, which is amazing. I guess I should be doing it this way. There is the raspberry chocolate, which is awesome. The Scotcheroo here, the Crusader Cup, that is fantastic. And then to my surprise, the Darling Delight, which is the caramel and coconut, which I never thought I would love coconut, but that coconut tastes so good with the coffee. It's like I said yesterday, it's the creamy things that really draw me in, that really enhance the coffee flavor for me, that make it taste really good. And it's like Crusader Cup because there's chocolate and caramel and butterscotch. Butterscotch is kind of creamy. The Terry's chocolate orange is interesting because fruity stuff also kind of gets me. So it's when there are fruity notes in coffee without additives, like the one that smelled like strawberries. You know, that one was, and then tasted, had that wonderful taste of strawberries in it as well. I was at Matt's work ordering glasses. Got new glasses, by the way. I was at his work, and one of his coworkers, who is the coolest, most lovable dude. I love Kurt. Kurt's amazing. Every time Matt comes home, how's Kurt doing? You know, because I like Kurt. And then the other people that Matt work with are wonderful, fun, interesting, great people. I enjoy talking to them, but for some reason, Kurt just struck a chord with me, and he loves coffee. I went to their work, and it's a really fun story, and we'll prepare while I go. He had this Japanese coffee. It was a coffee from Japan, and it was developed in such a way, no flavors were added. It was a natural coffee that smelled and tasted like winter melon. It was fantastic. I have a website for it. I think it's saved on my phone, but I don't remember the name of it offhand. Maybe I can find it. That's a little much. I don't want 40 grams of coffee. Luckily, the Chahi has a spout that works half the time. It's not easy to pour it back into a bag like this. So 34.9, as close to 35. Are we gonna go up? Do I hear 35.1? Do I hear 35.1? Because you kept moving while I was talking, and I'm this close to buying that scale that I saw the other day, and I forget who manufactures it. Again, I'll put up a picture because it's got how much water you put in versus how much coffee you put in. It's a scale made exactly for coffee, and I think it's like a $180 scale, and I'm this close. I just need to find $180 and I'll probably buy it. I just need to find that. If it's in a couch cushion, that would be great. Don't think so, but it would be nice, wouldn't it? Keeps bouncing, so it must be right at 35 grams. Perfect. It'll be the most perfect cup of coffee I have ever had. It's a wonderful smell. The Scotcheroo is just a great smell. It's a great smelling coffee. It's a great tasting coffee. But let's get our blend on here. And by blending, I mean grinding, of course. So here we are. It's just such a wonderfully strong smell of butterscotch and some caramel and coffee. And it's just great. And I know a lot of people just like plain Jane coffee, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And don't let anyone tell you any different. If it's what you enjoy, good for you. The point of talking about this kind of stuff is not to tell you that you're wrong. The point of this kind of stuff is to show you there's other things that you can also try and augment your morning with, you know, instead of just having the Folgers. Maybe one morning when you feel like you got enough time, buy one bag of something on Bones Coffee that interests you, or any website, you know, any website. If you just want plain Jane coffee that tastes a little funky, you know, look up naturally processed coffee or honey processed coffee, and that might just give you the change that you're looking for. But know that you're not doing anything wrong. There are just different ways of doing it. There's different ways of doing it than maybe what you're doing. But what you're doing is not wrong, of course. But anyway, so the winter melon coffee, it was just so bright and pronounced, and it was in a little jar, so I didn't see the actual bag. The websites have the bag, and I think it's just a naturally processed, harvested and washed coffee. I don't think that it was anything special added to it. It didn't taste like it. But I did a cupping for the first time, and a cupping is putting an exact amount of ground coffee into a coffee cup and then adding water to that and then stirring it. And then after about, 2 or 3 minutes, you kind of scoop off the grounds that have come to the top. And then you take your spoon, you take a fresh spoon, and you just slurp the coffee from the spoon from the top of the coffee. And then that's a cupping, and that gets you the exact flavor that you would get out of this coffee in that situation. Because, a cupping is one thing, and then a filter is a different type of coffee, and then a French press is a different kind of coffee, and a maca pot is a different kind of coffee. So it's just a more precise flavor of what that coffee would be in the moment if you didn't use a filter. And then, it's just slurps. You just slurp it to get the taste, you aerate it on your tongue, and it tasted like melon, and it was the most fantastic thing. And of course, those coffees are a little more expensive. Japanese coffees tend to be a little bit more expensive because I think that a lot of them are done in small batches, and the smaller the batch, the more exclusive, and the more exclusive, the more expensive. It's just like those trade winds coffees from southern Latin America, those coffees from like from Costa Rica, or there's a Panama coffee that is incredibly rare, and by rare, I mean like not like it replenishes every year, which rare would say to me it's something that you get once and would probably never see again, but it replenishes every year because they keep growing the coffee. And but it's just, there's just runs of the coffee, and they just don't it doesn't last very long. So it's exclusive, so they sell it at a higher cost. And maybe the cost of developing and maintaining the coffee in such a place, because Panama's got those trade winds, I think, and I think that was the biggest part of how nice that coffee is that the trade winds are salty, so they come in from both sides. They can come in from both sides. So, and it's not mountainous, it's all flat, and coffee really needs a mountainous area to grow properly for the most part, because you get the sunshine during the day, and then at night, because it's so high up, everything cools down. So you get the nice cool evenings. That is basically the most correct. I would assume for growing purposes, correct is the right way to say it, because there's a right way to grow a flower and there's a wrong way to grow a flower. If the flower doesn't come up after you've planted it, that's the wrong way to grow a flower. So I think it's safe and fair to say that there's a right way and a wrong way to try to grow coffee. And mountainous regions are the best ways because of the warmth of the sun and then the coolness of the evening contributing to the development. With island coffee, and Japan's got some island coffees as well, but with island coffee, you have the warmth of the sun all day, and then at night you have those trade winds coming in and cooling everything off. So you don't have to have an elevation in order to manufacture the coffee. For the coolness in the evening, you just have the trade winds or whatever salt winds or whatever coming over the land at night with no sun, and that cools the plants down enough it helps with all the growth. So And it's really fascinating. I mean, this is a process that has been done for thousands of years. And, you know, they've got it down to a literal science. So they know exactly the best places to make coffee and the worst places to make coffee. And even some of the worst places to make coffee have been developed into places that can do it, because the science around it shows you how you can do such a thing. We couldn't do coffee here. You know, we don't have the elevation. We don't have the constant sunshine. We live in Ohio, for crying out loud. The trees are outside year round. With the freezing temperatures that we have in the wintertime, we can't. That's not something that we can do. So Ohio would be a terrible place to grow coffee. And that's an example. Of course, Wisconsin would be terrible. Of course, you know, unless you do it inside, but then the coffees like to take on the aroma of their environment that they're in. So unless you have like a dedicated greenhouse that maybe has bees going through it, and pollination is happening, and you've got some maybe like hibiscus flowers or strawberries or that kind of a thing, it's going to take on, you know, like leather chair. No, I don't think I'd want that as a flavor. So, but anyway, the coffee that I had that he had brought, that he had gotten from Japan, it was absolutely fun and fantastic. And it was the first cupping I had ever experienced, and it was really fun. And I'd have to look up the recipe. He was looking up the recipe, which made me feel better. Sometimes you don't know if you're doing things right. It's nice to look at someone else doing the same thing you would be doing, which is looking up the procedure, looking up the recipe, you know, and then you kind of feel better because it's like, I do that and he does that. So we are, you know, we're on the right track. At least, you know, you feel like that person maybe has more experience than you do, and they're still looking stuff up. So, you know, it's definitely a nice feeling to watch someone else struggle like I do. But he loves coffee. So I sent Matt in with the Las Lajas red honey processed coffee, because he said he'd never had honey processed coffee before. So I sent that in to work. I don't expect to get it back. I can order another bag if I need to. But said smelled like strawberries. I didn't tell him anything, but he said smells like strawberries and then tastes like berries, and it was amazing. So that again made me feel better. So, un café. Oh, and I also I went to the pharmacy today to try to figure something out. And apparently the medication that I needed for the testosterone cannot be auto-refilled. So it's my understanding that people actually use that stuff sometimes to help with their muscle development. So they may have regular testosterone levels, and then they'll use this, it's a topical cream. It's not really a cream. It's like rubbing alcohol and I think aloe and this testosterone. I don't know if it's aloe or not. I just know that it's got that weird alcohol thing where you rub it on and then the alcohol immediately evaporates almost, and then, you know, everything else gets absorbed. But apparently it is not available for auto, so I have to call in every time I want a new prescription filled. So I went in to get that figured out. They were very helpful, and I've got it ordered, and it'll be ready by about 3:30, 4 o'clock today. So, which is good, and I can go pick it up. So it was just weird because I pushed the button to say I need a refill in the app that I have for the doctor. And I guess I am very spoiled by my certified nurse practitioner, my CNP, because, you know, if I need something, she's like right there. I know she's busy. She's a nurse, for crying out loud. She's incredibly busy. I know that she's busy. But, you know, generally that day or the very next morning, the thing that I would need is ready to go. I pushed that button yesterday at the beginning of the day in the morning. And it's been 24 hours and there has been no movement. So I'm like, I'll just go to the pharmacy and ask the pharmacy to help. And the pharmacy helps. They've always been incredibly helpful. Luckily, they weren't busy, so I felt comfortable. And we had that discussion yesterday where I don't like making people wait or making people feel uncomfortable. Their uncomfortableness makes me feel uncomfortable. I think that's how empathy works to a certain point. But but I got that taken care of. So we're safe on that front. I'll get some new topical stuff to use tonight. Huzzah! If you have time, and I know that sometimes I don't do this. I know sometimes I just pick the damn thing up and just swig it. If you let the coffee cool down and mellow a little bit, there's far more flavor to be had. Drinking incredibly hot coffee is ridiculous. And it's kind of why I like certain places, Crimson, that I go to at Easton. Their coffee is never so hot you can't drink it, which is absolutely fantastic and something that I live for. If you let it sit and you let it mellow, or you can like wait a minute before you take a sip, the flavor is so much better and you get so much more out of it, in my opinion. When I'm downstairs editing, I'll have this cup of coffee next to me, and as the time goes by where I'm editing and I come back and take a sip and then I go back, I don't mind cold coffee at all. So as it cools down further and further and further, different tastes develop. You can take bigger swigs if you need to, you know, that kind of a thing. So yeah. This Crusader Cup is so good. And I think I mentioned this before too. They kind of cheat with this naturally and artificially flavored. The natural stuff is the coffee. Is there butterscotch in nature? Chocolate and caramel are kind of weird because they are natural occurring things, but you have to burn sugar in order to make caramel, and then you have to process cocoa beans in order to make chocolate. Butterscotch is just a bunch of chemicals thrown together as far as I'm aware. So you can kind of get away with it with the other two flavors, but butterscotch definitely artificial, I think. Delicious. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope you have a great week. We will talk to you on Tuesday. I don't know what we'll talk about, but we will find something, as I always tend to do, and then we'll make a cup of coffee and see if I can keep it going or ruin it. Maybe I'll try to go out this weekend and find something else to bring home that's different or fun or interesting, and we'll give it a try. It's always fun to go out and find a place that's got coffee. It seems more and more people are out there with their own roasted coffee now, which is kind of cool. I don't know if that kind of a market can get oversaturated because everybody's got their go-tos, and those go-tos are not going to go away. So, you find something different that may pique your interest, you can grab it, and if you don't like it, you don't have to go back. So I don't know if there is an oversaturation of the market because we all have our go-tos. I don't know what the point of calling something oversaturated would be. This is great, and hopefully we can find something over the weekend different that we can bring home and try. Thank you for watching. We will talk to you next week. Have a wonderful weekend. Go stop by a farmer's market. Stay dry. I don't think it's going to rain here, but it could rain where you are. Who knows? But have a great weekend. We'll talk to you later. Bye.